What is up, guys? It's a Fluffy Ninja here. Welcome back to the channel. I apologize for the delay in content. I originally was having some technical issues, and also with the culmination of school, I was just very busy, and I was just not in a position to either create content or upload it, as I could not. But shortly after, I actually fell ill, as you can hear by my voice, so I apologize about that. And I, once again, was not in a position where I could even think about making content. I had to worry about myself and feeling better, and also trying to make sure I didn't fall behind with school. But ultimately, I really wanted to wait until I could deliver some quality content for you guys. Any video that I put up on this channel, I hold to a certain degree. And I always want to make sure that the videos are not only entertaining for you guys, but you also take something out of it as well. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. And for today's video, I wanted to review the series Tomodachi Monster. It's a short 3-volume series by Yoshiko Inoue, and I picked it up solely on the premise itself. It's basically set in a world where, there's this idea of these creatures similar to Pokemon, except if the Pokemon were actually real and had, real repercussions, that is. So, meaning if, these two creatures were to fight one another, it wouldn't be a case where, they can just put in a ball, heal it, and it's fine to, it's good to go, it's fine. In this series, everything is taking, from 0 to 100, where, the violence is brutal and it's realistic. Like, people get chopped up into pieces, these creatures get brutally killed, and all sorts of bloody and gory stuff like that. So, based on that alone, I wanted to pick up the series to kind of give it a shot, see what it's about. And it's also 3 volumes, so, what perfect way to kind of get through a series I've been wanting to get through and, pick up some new interesting manga. So without further ado, let's get in right into Tomodachi Monster. The first aspect of Tomodachi Monster I wanted to discuss with you guys would be the story itself. To kind of give you a basic overview of the synopsis here, our main character, Wataru, is someone that doesn't have many friends. He's very lonely, partly due to his parents always having to move around because of their job. One day after school, when he is cleaning up the classroom, he hears a strange voice coming from the woods saying, "Hey, let's be friends." He goes out to investigate, only to find out that there's a strange creature that was actually calling him. Scared and kind of hesitant, he realizes that they actually have some sort of connection, so he decides to take it home to kind of figure out what is actually going on and what this creature actually is. When he's doing investigations, he actually realizes that this creature can only be seen by him, as his mom has no reaction to what's going on when she walks in his room. And so he decides to take it to school the next day to kind of test this out. On the way to school, he actually almost gets hit by a bus, and this creature saves him by pushing him aside. They retreat to an alley where Wataru decides to name this creature Peke and decide to fully be friends. On their way out, Wataru meets this girl named Shinozaki Ari. Ari explains to Wataru that these creatures are actually linked to their bodies, meaning that if their friend were to get hurt, so do they. So try not to leave the friend by itself and to try and be wary of others. To demonstrate this point, Ari uses her friend to basically not incapacitate, but, hold them hostage, and to show that, hey, your creature can't move and so can't you. Just to really reiterate the point that not only are they connected, but also to be wary of others out there, as the motivation of other people, it may not be to be friendly and to make friends, but they actually may be out there to intentionally harm others. Shortly after, Wataru is walking home later on that day, and he encounters this kid named Yuki, who also has a friend named Cutter, except Yuki actually wants to kill Wataru. Yuki chases Wataru through the woods, chopping down trees behind him, and Wataru is nearly killed until Eri actually intervenes with the fight itself. During the scuffle, Eri actually snaps the neck of Yuki, killing him. But in a last-minute effort, Yuki's friend actually chops up Eri into tiny little pieces in a very brutal way, in a very gory way. Wataru, shocked by this, realizes that he really can not only trust other people, but also can't trust the friends as well, as they may be intentionally out to harm and kill people, and that they actually have real consequences to their battles. The general thing I got away from this story was not a good impression, to be honest with you. Even though it's short, with only 3 volumes, a lot of elements of the story itself feels very rushed, whereas Wataru is placed into situations that is only there to push the plot forward and to only give exposition to the reader. Meaning a lot of questions are presented throughout this manga, such as who these friends are, who created them, what their purpose is, why are these kids wanting to kill one another. And a lot of these questions are answered by the end of the final volume, but the manner that they do it does not feel satisfying. It does not feel warranted. As, like I said, a lot of events are introduced, as well as supporting characters that don't really have an impression on me. There's not one point in the series that I can really pinpoint and be like, wow, this is the best fight of the series, or this is the coolest part of the series, as it just kind of felt like it was introduced. Here's some characters, here's this event. It's okay, half the characters are going to die anyways, and we're just going to move on because Wataru wins. Everything feels really forced to the reader, and not much time is given for not only Wataru to... Sorry, I bumped into the camera. For not only Wataru to develop his own character and go through his own story arc, but also for these side characters that actually are interesting as well to go through their own arcs. Like I said, characters are quickly introduced, but also quickly killed off or forgotten about, and not much is given to Wataru himself, other than by the end of the story, he has a friend. So, overall, I did not really enjoy the story for not only its elements, but also what I was able to get out of it as a reader, as everything not only felt rushed, but everything was also just conveniently there just to push the story forward and get us to an ending. I do believe if the series was a little longer, the mangaka could have done a little bit of a better job at fleshing out the world and fleshing out the characters, as he would have gotten more of an opportunity to really give time for these questions to, settle and really burn into the reader's minds, other than introducing them in one chapter and within the next chapter to answer that question. I believe that if more chapters were given, the characters could have gone through their own story arcs, an actual villain could have been presented and had some real high stakes, as well as some of the questions being able to not only have the time to kind of formulate in the back of people's minds to kind of keep guessing what's going on and to really keep readers invested, but also come through with an actual decently good answer. The next aspect I wanted to discuss of Tomodachi Monster is the world building itself. I will say some of the lore is actually really interesting, and I do like some of the stuff that the mangaka does to flesh out the world. Particularly, there's just one thing that occurs every few chapters where it doesn't happen every chapter, but they actually include this friend encyclopedia here where, it lists the partner's name, the friend's name, gives you different stats, and also different characteristics that are unique to the creature itself, which I really enjoyed. It really reminded me of Pokemon, which is what this series is supposed to do, as you can look at the stats and, really get a feel for each one of these creatures. I also really like how there's not one creature that looks similar to one another. They always have unique designs and always have unique abilities that is really rare sometimes for manga involving creatures, as a lot of it, is not boring. It's each of the character designs itself are actually really nice, which I really liked, and it always was pleasing to look at some of the battles at times just for pure enjoyment, as it was just really fun seeing these creatures duke it out and to see how their abilities actually worked. Regardless if the main character is going to win, it's still really cool to see these creatures kind of, duke it out and you show off their abilities to one another. In terms of the questions raised and a lot of the integral points that are supposed to flesh out the world, similar to what I said before about the story element, none of it really feels warranted, or it doesn't really feel deserved, as a lot of it is just given out to the reader. It's just, here, this fact, let's go on to the next fact in the next chapter. It's not introduced in a meaningful way. It's not given enough time to really settle into the reader's mind and, see how that fact actually presents in the world itself. And it's not really unique at times. It's some of the answers to the questions are very basic. It's what someone could expect or see from a mile coming away. Nothing here is, other than those small little things such as the friend encyclopedia or the character designs or the creature designs and the creature abilities itself. Other than that, the world doesn't really feel fleshed out. It feels very flat and feels very bland, unfortunately. The next aspect I wanted to discuss was the art itself. As you see, this manga is incredibly gory. It's incredibly bloody, in that it does not hold back from showing you a large amount of gore, which I will say does not disappoint if you're looking for a bit of a light read story-wise and just looking for some gore and some violence. This will definitely have it for you. There are people that are chopped in half, burned, has their neck snapped, as you saw with Yuki, electrified, bitten in half, crushed to death. A lot of deaths here are shown in a very brutal way. Another thing that I actually somewhat liked were the actual character designs. I don't know why, but it felt different. It doesn't feel like a traditional, shonen artwork in terms of the characters. It has a lot of that Pokemon vibe to it and a lot of that Pokemon flavor, which you would expect with the creatures, but also the friends as well. It just looks like it could be set in a Pokemon universe, especially the friends themselves, the little creatures. I think the manga did a fantastic job at really presenting unique abilities for each one of them and drawing them in a really unique way that you can definitely differentiate between one or the other. Other than that, the fight scenes themselves are pretty hit or miss at times. There were some panels that I actually had to go back on at times because I couldn't follow what's going on, as there's just a lot of action going on within that one panel. And it doesn't necessarily flow well, where you couldn't tell where the characters were going, what direction, where in the certain battle landscape they were. But it didn't happen too often, but there were some times I had to go back and kind of see what was going on. But overall, the art is more than decent. I think it's really good. I, was constantly finding myself looking at, how the characters were actually killed off in the brutal way, but the Pokemon, friend designs of the story itself was definitely something to look at, and definitely a treat for the series itself, which I really enjoyed. The final segment of this review that I wanted to discuss would be my overall enjoyment. Like I said, the story really was lackluster for me, from the characters to the world building to just the events that were presented to me as a reader. Everything felt rushed and forced and really convenient for the characters in the story, particularly the main character. And it didn't really feel warranted. The only reason why I wanted to go from chapter to chapter, and I didn't drop it, because it's only 3 volumes. So I definitely knew I wanted to finish it from the get-go, because it's a very short read. But if it was at this pace and at this consistency at let's say a 10-volume series, I would have dropped it by volume 3 for sure. Obviously, the ending wouldn't have been there, but if it was up to that point in volume 3, other than the ending, I would have 100% dropped it. It was not a fun read in terms of the story. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about what was going on. It was just at that point for me, just seeing how these people were getting killed off brutally and how the creatures themselves could evolve and, fight one another and what their unique abilities were. That is the fun aspect for me of this manga, was seeing this really unique concept, be fleshed out and drawn out. Though I do wish it was executed a little better. I do, appreciate the attempt at it, and I do feel as if it could have been done better. Obviously, like I said, there were some limitations, such as the length of the series itself. If you're given only 25 chapters to create a story, I do believe that the questions that were presented here was maybe too ambitious for that, and it really wasn't done in a correct way where it felt satisfying to learn the lore and also figure out questions behind the answers behind the questions that were presented to the reader. Particularly the ending itself, I was not a big fan of. It tried to come off as like some sort of twist, but it really just was terrible. It felt super out of nowhere. It also felt really convenient for all the main characters that were killed off, as it kind of fixed a lot of the issues that were presented up to that point, and basically it was like a do-over, which was really thrown out of left field. And I understand they were just trying to finish the manga at that point, but like I said, I believe that there could have been a better ending, and it was really not warranted, and it just came out of nowhere. So overall, if you're looking for a short read that is very gory and bloody, and you don't really have to pay too much attention to what's going on, and you don't have to be really invested in some characters and some deep lore building and, this crazy long story, Tomodachi Monster actually might be for you. It's, in my opinion, a really decent read for someone looking to get their gore fix or their horror manga fix. And also, if you like Pokemon and you kind of want to see how this is fleshed out, it doesn't hurt seeing, where this story can go for you and picking up the volumes and reading it. And like I said, it is a shorter series, so you're not looking at a big investment in terms of a purchase-wise. I actually got a really great deal for these 3 volumes. I got it for $8, so I really wasn't losing much there. It was well worth the read, as I was able to kind of see something I had been interested in a very long time. Though I do wish it was done better. I would recommend it, like I said, for someone looking for a shorter read or someone that likes their horror/gory manga. Also for anyone that likes Pokemon. But if you're looking to get like deep world building and really interesting plots and a really unique concept that is fleshed out properly, unfortunately, Tomodachi Monster is not the series for you. Ultimately, if I had to give it a score, I would definitely, it would be a meh. It would be like an average run-of-the-mill manga. I'd probably give it like a 4 or 5 out of 10. 5 is being generous. But like I said, there were some positives that I can't overlook, such as the character designs, the creatures themselves, and just it did a good job at really bringing out the gore and bringing out the potential possibilities that these dangerous creatures could have. Once again, guys, thank you so much for sticking through the video and watching all the way through the end. I really do appreciate all your support and all you guys watching the video. I do apologize for the delay in content. Like I said, I don't anticipate anything like this going forward, as a lot of this was out of my reach in terms of not only my health, but also, the technical aspect of stuff, as the whole area around me was down. So I couldn't really do much in terms of content, and I didn't want to half-ass it and give you guys a video that I didn't really enjoy making or that I wasn't proud of uploading onto the channel. As I said, I want to always deliver you guys quality content that is not only entertaining, but also something that you can share with your friends and really get something out of it as well. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. Wherever you are or whatever you're doing, I hope you're staying safe during these times. Definitely keep your distance, wear your masks, sanitize, do what you gotta do, just stay safe, enjoy the anime, enjoy the manga, enjoy whatever it is you're reading. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you feel so inclined, subscribe, click the notification icon, like the video, share with your friends, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. Enjoy.